once again to the Iron City Roundhouse Report, the podcast where the love for the high iron meets the precision of the scale model. Whether you're tracking the latest Class 1 freight movements or perfecting the scenery on your home layout, we're here to celebrate the history and hobby of railroading. Climb aboard and settle in as we clear the signals for another journey through the world of trains. Hello once again, Iron City N-Scalers. It's great to have you back with us for another episode of the Iron City Roundhouse Report. Tonight we are going to be doing Season 2, Episode 4, which we are calling the Yardmaster Auctioneers. We're going to have some of the more well-known Facebook Live auctioneer guys who provide a great service to us in the N-Scale community. You know, with the availability of new stuff is always kind of touch and go. Everything's pre-orders now, and then you order it and you have to wait. Pat, I often, with my pre-orders, I get an email about it and I don't even remember that I pre-ordered it because it was like 2 years ago. So, I mean, that's fun too, but it is a lot of fun to be able to get on, and you know, these guys will put the items up on a turntable, a little roundy turntable that spins, and you can actually take a look at what the locomotive or rolling stock, or sometimes it's even structures. And I just think it's a cool service that these guys provide for the N-Scale community, and they're just a good bunch of guys too. So we're delighted to have those guys with us. You said Yardmaster Auctioneers. Is that what we're calling them?
Hey, Brad. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Yeah. We're doing a Yardmaster series here. We have auctioneers with us this evening. Brad, it's unfortunately you brought me into this world a few years ago, and you can't come out of it. But I tell you what, I find myself sometimes not even purchasing anything, but just watching the auctions to see what's the latest prices, what do people have out there, what's going on, what's trending, right? Or if I see something that I didn't think it's worth anything, I see a bunch of people bidding on. I'm like, wait a minute, what was that? What was the name of it? You know, what was so special about it? And then you realize, oh, that was a limited run, or they're not making anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
You see a lot of new guys come on, Brad, and buy maybe some older stuff, and then they tweak it, they'll weather it, they'll put new wheels on and new couplers, and the next thing you know, they take pictures and show you what they did. You're like, wow, that was a good buy, because just a little TLC and they got stuff up and running again.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have to admit, I do the same thing. Even if I have no intention of buying stuff, if there's nothing good on TV to interest me, which happens pretty frequently the older I get, it's like, oh, Ross or Garrett or Bill's on, I think I'll just watch the auction. And you never know when they're going to throw something out there that you're going to want to try to bid on, or as you mentioned, just to see the kind of stuff that's available and what prices it's going for. But I do have a question. What happened to us? When did we become uncool? Because you and I both were athletes in high school, and now we entertain ourselves by watching N-Scale train auctions.
Well, what's funny is we're not the only ones, because we'll get group texts from all kinds of people. Auctions on, you watching it? Auctions on, you need anything? You know, from all of our folks at
But most of those guys were never cool like we were, though. Just kidding, everybody. No, it is. They're fun to watch. Yeah.
What I was, Brett, I think all our listeners will be happy with tonight was, I didn't realize, I knew they knew each other, but I didn't realize how well they worked together, you know, out there in the Facebook world, even helping with shipping of different customers, especially overseas customers and stuff like that. I was really impressed with these guys, and you know, it's like, I know it's not brick and mortar, but it's still not the big guys. These are small mom and pop auction houses that try to do right by their customers and try to provide, you know, it's a great service. You know, not everybody can go out and buy the brand new locomotive. Not everybody can go out and spend that money on that new item that has just been released. A lot of us have to go out there and buy some older stuff to fill that layout out. Once you've done that, then you can go after that hidden treasure, or that one of a kind type of item that we're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Their philosophy with their auctions is kind of the same philosophy we try to adhere to here on the Roundhouse Report, and that is, Ross's auction doesn't have to fail so that Garrett's can succeed. There's enough room in the hobby for all three of them, and that's kind of the same way we feel about other podcasts. I
That's
mean,
right.
you don't have to wish others ill or wish them to lose listeners or whatever, so ours can be successful. If everybody keeps doing what has attracted listeners in the first place, there's enough to go around, and we can all enjoy each other's work. So I think these guys really exemplify that well, and looking forward to chatting with them this evening.
Okay, Brad, it's that time of the podcast where we start doing our Roundhouse Report of all the great things we're seeing on the Iron City Facebook page.
Yeah,
Brad,
we
did you want
might have to someday devote an entire show to that, because man, a lot of
to?
stuff. There is so much cool stuff going on, and it's so cool. I can still remember the days where there was like six of, and it was, it was nice that with the six close friends, but it's like if you weren't in the mood to post, there's a good chance that nothing new might get posted that day. And
Right.
now, my goodness, yeah, you and I can go without posting for a week, and there's still all kind of good information that people are sharing. So
Oh
that is
yeah,
so much appreciated to you folks who are both listeners of this podcast and members of the Iron City Facebook page. All the great stuff you're posting on the page is it. Yeah, I think you mentioned it a couple years ago. It's almost like having a train magazine to read, but it's
that's
every
right.
day, and it's every day instead of once a month. That's
That's
that's the
right.
nice thing about it. But yeah, there's just so much great content that our members are putting up there, and it's fun to read it, fun to look at it, the fit pictures, the videos, and we do appreciate that. So keep up the participation, please, and we'll keep things going. But do you want to lead off the Roundhouse Report tonight, or do you want me to, Pat?
Sure, Brad.
Totally up to you.
I'll go first this evening.
Why don't
Hey,
you do that?
I will. Hey, our first one this evening from me is from Jim Covert. Jim is in the southeast area of Michigan, and if he wants, his pictures of his layouts are just unbelievable. Great weathering. He does a lot of Conrail, but Jim's asking. He's put the spotlight out there or beacon. Hey, he's trying to build some other N-scalers in his area and looking to see if they want to start a small group. I would call it Iron City Midwest, right?
Yeah,
Probably,
yeah, that
probably,
makes all sense in the world, I think.
yeah. I'm assuming that he's probably looking for T-Track or some other N-scale group modules or maybe just, maybe even something bigger. But he is in the eastern southeast Michigan Troy area, and he sent out a post the other day asking anybody wants to get a small club together, you know, within probably like we do here in Pittsburgh within driving, and we have guys from Connecticut coming. So I'm assuming Wisconsin would still be close, Indiana, Illinois, maybe around
Where did you say he was in Eastern Michigan?
southeast Michigan. So he would probably
So
be
he's
Ohio.
probably not,
Yeah,
yeah, he's not too
yeah.
far from like northwestern Ohio then either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So anybody in that region looking to do a little traveling or can come up that way, or if we just have a good concentrated group of Iron City listeners in the Michigan area, look Jim up. He's on our Facebook page. He put a post out looking for people to start something. He had a lot of like. He had 21 people like, and some people, looks like Kevin Jones says he's in the Port Huron area, and then there's some other people asking, where and when. So, yeah, I would definitely take a look at Jim. He's a great modeler. I think he's just trying to get other people involved in the Michigan area. So that's my first one, Brad.
Yeah, that's a great one, Pat. And best wishes, Jim, to you as you try to get something off the ground in your area there. I could tell you, that's kind of where we were, and it was only like 4 years ago. That's, uh, you find the right people and things really take off for you. So if there's anything we can ever do, Jen, to help you promote that group and get something going in Iron City Midwest out there in Eastern Michigan, we would be happy to help in any way we can. And our listeners who are listening, as Pat said, look, if you're in that area, give Jim a look, and maybe something cool in the Midwest can result from it. So yeah, that was a good one, Pat. The first one that I noticed and wanted to share is our good buddy Jimmy Brom was at the East Broad Top this past weekend. I see a picture that he posted on February 15th of the 16, the locomotive number 16, that there was some sort of issue with, I heard, and they had to pull it from a couple runs. I don't even know if it's back in regular service yet. I've seen pictures of that big brute of a switch engine that they have down there, which is a cool. I like that engine.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the steam engines, but I'm never disappointed when that thing comes out and pulls. I just think that's a cool switch engine. But anyhow, Jimmy shared a couple pictures of the 16 under steam, so it looks like they're heading towards getting her back in service again. So kudos to the engine crew down there at the East Broad Top, our friend Brad Esposito, and all the team members that work for him. They've done such spectacular work down there. Just, I know I've said this before, but when the East Broad Top shut down, whenever it was 5-6 years ago, I thought that's it, it's done. And what a shame, because that property is just an absolute national treasure, of a railroad. And thank God those guys were able to put the right team together and get in there and save that. And man, is it flourishing now. They got, I would have been happy just to see the original, the tourist part of it that they had going for so long, went from Rock Hill Furnace up there to Colgate Grove. They had that back in service, I think, within a year. And now they're reworking track that hasn't seen, any trains on it. They've had speeder runs down there, I guess, and like the rail bikes and stuff, but they're running actual trains down south now of Orbisonia, Rock Hill Furnace, where, before they got that track back in service, there hadn't been anything on that since the 1950s. So just, I mean, to me, it's almost a miracle. I know it's not a miracle. It's just good hard work that those guys put in. But fantastic stuff going on at the East Broad Top, and thank you to Jimmy Brom for sharing that with us, since he was there this past weekend.
Yeah, that railroad seems like it's just caught fire lately, and just one week after another, slowly builds, and next thing you know, they have all this, extra track work built. They're putting more trains together, more trips. It's amazing how much work they're doing up there.
Yeah, it really is. I would encourage anybody who's never experienced it to get there, because it is definitely worth the trip. When you go there to ride a train, the crews are so professional. I'm pretty sure they're mostly, if not all, volunteer crews, but everybody, the conductors, the people, the ticket office people, it's really great to see it. The funny thing is, where Brad always tells me, when you're coming down, let me know, and I always do. But it seems like Brad's always busy every time. The last couple of times, I know, he's got a lot of important work to do there, so
Yeah.
it's fine. But it's just, we get a chuckle out of that. It's like, well, strike two, you try get down again, and Brad's not here, but he's a good guy, and I'm glad to see the success he's having with getting the EBT back on its feet. It's really awesome.
Okay, Brad. Hey, my second one for the Roundhouse Report is from Richard Henderson. Hey, the Mon Valley Railroad Historical Society is having their first ever model railroad show in Morgantown, West Virginia. Richard's been a member for several years now, has been posting their progress on. They have HO, but they're also building an N-scale layout. Now, the cool thing about their club is it's in a mall. So they're in the Mountaineer Mall Center Court, right there in Morgantown, easy to get to. And here's the big thing about this show. It's going to be March 15th. So that's a couple of weeks after Erie. I know Iron City is going to try to be at Erie, which they're going to be at Erie, I should say, trying to. And I know we're trying to be here in Morgantown. It's a 1-day show on the 15th, 10 to 4 p.m. And here's the big thing. It's very expensive. It's free. So if you're in the
Right.
Morgantown
The
area
price,
or
the price is right, right?
the price is right, you're in southern West Virginia, eastern Ohio, you're over in Maryland, western Maryland, southwest PA. We're only talking an hour's drive down into Morgantown to get to see a really good show. They're hoping to have 50 vendor tables and some operating layouts. So this is a great time to get down there and support Richard Henderson and the team down there. Trying to get something off the ground. And you're only as good as your first show, right? And if you get a
That's it.
really good, a lot of people come down there and support them, and then they can come back the next year and start getting another show in the area off the ground and running. I think that's really good. I can only imagine the nerves and everything trying to get a show off the ground for the first time.
Yeah, I'm sure that is an undertaking, and we definitely wish them the very best with that. And I can tell you, if I wasn't, I still might end up being there. I don't know. I haven't planned things out that far in advance yet, but I hope we are able to have some Iron City folks there, and I hope they get a great turnout for their show and everybody has a great time. It's always good to see. It's a sign of health in the hobby when we have these new shows popping up, and you always want to see that be a success. So best of luck to them as they go. When did you say the date for that was again, Pat?
Okay, that's going to be Sunday, March 15th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Mountaineer Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, right there where WVU is located. So nice little
Fantastic.
town, a lot to do there. A lot of food stuff around that area. So you can make it a day, or if you want to try to make it a weekend, there's plenty to do down there in Morgantown. So that's my second one. Brad, what else do you have?
That's awesome. Yeah, my second one comes from our good friend Todd Treaster. He recently posted, and then I didn't realize it, but Todd also he posted it to his webpage. So I shared it on ours, and then I noticed Todd shared it on ours, so it got double posted, but that's all right. The second annual rally in Burnham is in the planning stages, well into the planning stages right now. For those who are not familiar with what that is, last year we did the first one, and Todd was kind enough on one of his open houses that he always did in the spring before we even got hooked up with him, asked us to, or welcomed us really into his home, into his garage for us to set up. It's kind of a small to medium sized T-track layout. It was not the hugest one, but it was a decent size. And as I recall, we had we dedicated that basically to operations. We had many switching operations and had some people actually conducting operations on our T-track setup in Todd's garage there in Burnham. So it's in conjunction with Todd's open house, like I mentioned. So you get kind of a 2-for-1 if you would like to join us there. You get to see Todd's fantastic New York, Susquehanna, and Allegheny, NYSNA, N scale layout. One of the nicest N scale layouts you're ever going to see. If you want to see prototype length trains and you want to see them run silky smooth, you're not going to see a show any better than what you see on our friend Todd Treaster's layout. He routinely runs 100-car trains on there. He's got some outstanding scenery on the layout. His one corner, he has a downtown Pittsburgh where he's got photorealistic buildings as part of the backdrop. It looks, you feel like you're standing in downtown Pittsburgh looking at some of those well-known buildings. And if that's not enough to the layout, his collection is probably, it's got to be, I think, Pat, the most complete N scale collection, private collection in existence. I mean, he's got stuff all the way back to the beginning of N scale. So, that you got Todd's layout, which is impressive. You got Todd's collection, which is impressive. And then, you could spend some time with us out in the garage running on the T-track layout too. And by the way, Todd is very welcoming with his layout. If you want to see what it's like to run a 100-car train across the NYSNA, I'm sure Todd would do his best to make that happen. Sometimes there's big crowds there, so he has to get around to try to visit everybody. But I know he has, in the past been very welcoming. If he has time and somebody wants to run a train, he'll get you set up there. There's also good food there. Todd and his wife Becky always put out a really nice spread. I always say they make you feel like you're going to Thanksgiving dinner at your family's house. They usually have, it's not turkey, but they have really good homemade meatball sandwiches, usually kraut dogs, and then there's usually some delicious chocolate fudge there, and Hartley's potato chips. If you've never experienced Hartley's potato chips, which are made locally right near where Todd's house is, that's part of the spread too. So it's good food, good fun with trains, and good company. And the date for that is Saturday, April 11th, starting at 10 a.m. at Todd's place in Burnham. The address is 309 3rd Avenue, Burnham, PA. Again, Saturday. It's definitely Saturday, April 11th at 10 a.m. And there is some other stuff in the works that I don't want to mention yet because we don't have it nailed down, but there is a possibility of some other really exciting activities being scheduled off the property. And we're working. Todd has been making contacts and trying to get something set up. So if that comes to fruition, we'll have a big announcement about that. But right now, I mean, we got everything that we had for the first annual rally in Burnham. If anybody would like to join us there to come run trains with us, please do. If you need lodging, you can contact us on our Facebook page. DM us through Facebook Messenger if you like. We can help. There are at least 2 hotels I know of there in Burnham. So if you're interested in coming, that's under 2 months away now, Saturday, April 11th at 10 a.m. in Burnham, Pennsylvania, the second annual rally in Burnham that we're doing in conjunction with Todd's NYSNA layout. So that was my big one, Pat, and I hope we can pull off another successful weekend there like we were able to do last year. And I hope a lot of our Iron City buddies, including you, are able to join us. That would be awesome too. So yeah, come join us for the rally in Burnham if you're able. We'd love to have you there.
Okay, Brad, that's our Roundhouse Report for this week. We'll be right back with our Yardmasters, and I think everyone's going to enjoy the show. So we'll be right back after this. Hey, welcome back, Iron City. Hey, we have a great show tonight, our Yardmaster series. We're calling this the Auctioneers, and we're going to have a great show for you. I'm going to pass it over to Brad, and he's going to introduce our Yardmasters for this evening.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. We do have an interesting show here tonight. With us are 3 online auctioneers who specialize mainly in N-scale equipment. I know sometimes they'll have stuff in other scales, but most of their auctions focus on selling N-scale equipment, which is particularly good for us at Iron City N-scale. So with us tonight to discuss their online business and maybe make some of our listeners who may not be aware that this is a service they provide are 3 online auctioneers. And I'll just go in the order that they popped up on my screen. Number 1, we have Bill Jenkins from East West Model Train Auctions. And Bill, correct me if I didn't say that exactly right, because we want people to be, I know it's East West Auctions. Is that?
Yeah, it's East/West Model Train Auctions. That's how it appears on Facebook. But if East/West Model Trains will get you there, or any combination of it.
Okay. And that's Bill Jenkins from East West Model Train Auctions. Then our second online auctioneer is Ross Palabeski from NorCal Train Auctions. And again, if I'm saying this wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Feel free to correct me though. And then also our third auctioneer that we have is Garrett Metcalf from Midwest Model Train Auctions. So thank you guys for being here and welcome. We're delighted to have you all here and looking forward to a lively conversation about the world of online N-scale auctions. So, Pat, back to you. What questions do you have for these guys?
Okay, all our questions tonight have been pre-approved by Brad, and so we're good to go there. Okay, Garrett, we'll go with you first this evening. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the auction business and tell us the name of your auction again, please?
Yeah, it's Midwest Train Auctions. For me, I just had a bunch of excess inventory, stuff that I didn't need anymore, and historically, I had just sold stuff, on a large retail platform. I don't know if I want to mention by name, but I think we all know what it is, and their fees for selling are even more expensive now than I think they were then, but even then they were really expensive. So I just was looking for other ways to, part with some of that inventory. I was already participating in Ross with NorCal with his auction, and I thought, that might be a good way for me to get rid of some of this stuff. So that's what got me started, was just I guess seeing Ross do his and having stuff that I needed to get rid of.
Okay, Ross, since he was mentioning you, how about we go with you next? How did you get started in the auction business?
Yeah, so I started, I want to say it was like 2021, I think is when we started. The only reason I started mine was so I had a N scale layout at the time, and my job at the time was working me like 40 days straight, 12-hour shifts kind of deal. So I just didn't have time for it. And I was like, you know what, let me just sell off everything and, I'll get back to it when I can. And so what wound up happening was I sold everything and I'm like, wow, I just made a good chunk of profit doing this, because there was some decent items in there, including weathered and graffiti items, which I was doing at the time. And so, yeah, I was like, oh, I might be able to do this as a business. So while I was doing that job, I was like, you know what, let me just try to buy some model trains on the side. Maybe I can make a quick buck kind of deal. And here we are pretty much 5, 6 years later, and it's still going extremely well. So that's kind of how I started.
Oh, excellent. And Bill, how did you get started in the business?
Yeah, so I kind of long winding story, but basically one day I asked my mother if she still had my model trains out in the barn, and then I had some N scale growing up as a kid, and then from there kind of my father got interested in it again with me, and we ended up getting connected to a local club, and then through the club we ended up purchasing a collection from an estate. It was a large N scale estate that nobody in the state of Maine wanted to touch because everyone mostly did HO, and the club was also HO. So we ended up buying it, and then we realized, well, this is more stuff than we'll ever use in multiple lifetimes. So from there, we had also been participating in a couple of the online auctions, Ross and N scale live auctions, and we liked how they did things and thought it was a neat idea. And as Brad said, that large online retail website, I just didn't want to deal with the fees and have more direct control of my business and not be like, subject to dealing with all that and stuff. And then I kind of just, watched how they did it and then kind of started my own thing. So that's kind of roundabout way how we got started with it.
Excellent. So this is really three mom and pop shops, really, but on the internet and doing it that way and trying to go with a little smaller, less fees type of atmosphere, especially with shipping and stuff like that, honest shipping and the fees like that. So my next question.
Just if I could chime in quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just
Brad.
an interesting point. That's eBay that I'm sure the guys are referring to. And I don't know, a lot of people maybe don't realize that when you buy something off of eBay, the seller that's how eBay makes its money by and large. The sellers charged a fee for that. So, not that makes them evil or anything. That's how they make their money. But these guys decided that there was maybe a better way for them, and using the power of social media, they kind of leveraged that on Facebook and have their auctions on Facebook, and then they don't. There's no middleman, so to speak, in the middle who's charging them fees, and I just think it's a cool way to buy trains. So yeah. So I just wanted to add that.
I was going to say, if you didn't mind me interjecting as well, one of the things about eBay I found is that the shipping is ridiculous. Like, I don't like obviously I don't pad my shipping prices. I use a program called Pirate Ship, which really helps make it more cost effective, even with USPS rates. But I found that through eBay, they would charge a ridiculous amount to the seller if you go through their shipping options. And it's just, they're doing it yourself is kind of weird. So I really prefer having the direct control with that with my business.
Excellent. I'll go back to Bill here, and we'll go back around the horn here with our yard masters this evening. Bill, without giving away trade secrets, what are some techniques you do to obtain inventory? And are there certain inventories you're out there looking for right now? Or is there certain trends for your customers that you're looking for?
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, and I guess I don't know if I necessarily have any trade secrets per se. I just find it's like any business. You try I try to buy stuff at a reasonable price from people, but obviously I need to make a profit on it as well. And it just comes down to networking. I've built an incredible network in New England, and I'm actually very fortunate that we have a large amount of train shows for the area. Like there's at least two or three, there's like 3 or 4 in the state of Maine alone. Granted, they're not huge, but we're then also really close to Springfield, the Amherst annual show, which I think is one of the biggest train shows in the United States. So that's only like 4 hours for me. So that's huge. But then there's also a ton of other shows down in Massachusetts and New Hampshire that I travel to. But so, and I will say for shows, it's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes I'll drive 4 hours and I'll buy a boxcar or two, or I end up buying more HO for myself. But you never know what you're going to get. And also a lot of it is just people have started coming to me. They're like, I have a collection to sell, and we make a deal. And it's just a lot of word of mouth is how I get a lot of my business and a lot of my inventory.
So, Bill, are you looking for certain inventory, or are you just is it just, hey, I'm in the Northeast and that's what we're going to get with collections?
So I try to, I have a lot of my customers are down in the Pennsylvania area, so they like a lot of the Pennsy stuff, New York Central, things like that. I do try to pay attention to what my customers are preferring to buy, but where I have people all across the United States and into Canada a little bit, it's just random. And honestly, I never know what I'm going to get with a collection. So I just kind of look at everything. If I get a decent price on it, I then just try to, sell it, make a few bucks is kind of how I do it. I do try to find things people are interested in, but sometimes I'll buy something. I'll be like, oh, people are going to love this. And then nobody wants it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So it's hit or miss sometimes with that stuff.
Whatever you do not buy a trash train, because Brad will buy it on purpose and then ship it to me.
I will say that I've experienced that with all three of these guys. They, you participate in their auctions, which I've participated in all three fairly regularly. And once they learn what kind of equipment, what road names you're looking for, I'm pretty sure, in fact, I know all three of them have private messaged me on Facebook saying, hey, look what I got. Are you interested in this? And, that's kind of nice personalized service that you get from these guys. I know they do go to great lengths, to try to make their auction as good an experience for the people who buy from them as they possibly can. And it's just a lot of fun to be on.
So I will go with Ross next, because we have a group of guys out there called Iron City West. We have a lot of guys in the LA area and in California. And I know, Ross, you're out west. Is there a certain inventory you're looking for? Are there different techniques you guys do out west? Or do you have a lot of guys from the East Coast just buying up everything? Or how's that work for you?
I don't have any specifics that I actually go shopping for. I mean, when I just see something that's a good deal, I pick it up every time. Like if I see, a Microtrains boxcar for $5 a piece, if I can sell that for $10, I mean, why the heck not pick it up, make $5 right there. So I've never really found, and I of course pick up large collections, fairly regularly. So I just wind up with a bunch of inventory, and I have really no rhyme or reason behind what I pick up. It just happens, whatever happens kind of deal.
Okay. And you do the same thing then? You've got a network that you've been using and train shows. Is that some of your techniques, Ross?
Yeah, so mainly a lot of mine, I use a lot of online websites as well. I'm not going to disclose which one specifically, but because I would love to keep some secrets, as you guys probably know. But no, actually, what's been helpful. So, of course, a lot of people know I travel around for work quite a bit. I try to schedule my work trips around train shows through the United States as well. If I have, one of my helicopters working in the vicinity, I'll try to go schedule it around that train show. I'll go do a site visit. So I can hit up like say a train show down in Florida one month, and the next month I might be up in Montana doing a train show. So it kind of bounces me around, gets me a wider variety of inventory. It just kind of it varies. But I've also recently learned, and I'm still working on it. A lot of you, I'm sure, have heard of AI at this point. So I've been trying to do some searching with Chat GPT, and it's been paying off actually fairly well. I use something a little different than Chat GPT that I'm also not willing to disclose quite yet. But there is some strategies that I've been using that have produced variable results, to put in terms like that.
Okay. And then I'll go to Garrett. Garrett, any techniques, anything different than these guys do, or is there some inventories that you try to keep for as a trend or you see out there?
For me, no. I mean, it's pretty well the same as those guys. Kind of like Ross said, if you find something that, you can buy it for $5 and sell it for 10 or 15, then you're gonna, make a pretty good profit on that. And what you're gonna find in general is the larger amount you buy at once, the lower the individual price per unit's gonna be. So, if you can pick up a collection and, spread the cost to where it's, you know, 7, 8, 9, $10 a car, and you're going to get more than that for them by reselling them, then obviously it's sound business practice. And as far as where I get stuff, I mean, like I said, when I started, it was just, well, here's a bunch of excess stuff that when I have my layout, I'm never going to use. So why do I need to sit on it and have it taking up space? So it started with that, and then as time's gone on, and as my auction itself has grown, then it's been, I've bought stuff from people that have previously bought stuff from me. So it's kind of interesting, because you'll see, if you ever, for those that have been part of the auction for a long time, they'll probably see, like, well, that looks familiar. That custom weather boxcar looks like one that he had 2 years ago. Well, it probably was. you know, it's just they bought it, and then for whatever reason they're leaving the hobby, or they needed to downsize or whatever, and they reach back out, and now it's up available again. So I mean, I've had a lot of repeat items like that, but you know, while I don't like to sell on that aforementioned website, I'll buy stuff from there. Now it's few and far between, but sometimes you can even find some decent things there if you sit there and look long enough and hard enough, and know what to search for and all that.
And so,
And Garrett,
go ahead, Brad.
just
Go ahead.
where is it? I know you're in the Midwest, but where are you located exactly? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm in Topeka, Kansas.
I thought it was Kansas.
Pretty well dead center of the U.S. So it's interesting from my perspective, because we have Bill and them over there that are in Maine, and then you have Ross in California. I'm here in the middle of the U.S., but what's funny is the majority of my customers are a lot of times from either coast. So, I have obviously, your, Midwest customers as well, so people that are in Kansas, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, those places as well. But it's interesting to me how many people we have out Pennsylvania, even Florida, California, Washington, these states that aren't necessarily anywhere close to me, that I have a lot of just repeat customers.
And we pretty much have the continent covered here pretty well tonight, don't we, guys?
Yeah, we do.
But Garrett, I think you met him, didn't you? But Garrett actually came in for the Altoona N Scale weekend this year, so it was nice
that's right.
to see him there.
Yeah.
We got to get to a show where Ross is sometime. I've never been out to the West Coast.
I'll come join you.
Make Ross come to you.
Sounds good. All right, that sounds good. That's you. Yeah, you probably have never met the legendary Jim Young in person, have you, Ross? I know he's on your options.
I have not yet. Don't worry. It's on the bucket list. Don't worry.
It is a treat. It is a treat.
Yeah, it is. That's just kind of a side benefit of being on the auctions, is getting to watch Jim perform, isn't it? Love you, Jimmy. Love you.
Until Jim shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So, Brad, you threw it right into my next question. I appreciate that, man. And what a good segue. So, what makes for, I'm going to ask Ross this question first because I know Ross likes to keep a good timed auction. He might have a little bit less inventory to sell that night, but he keeps it moving. So, Ross, what makes for a good auction session? And how does someone that's never been in an auction before, how do they participate?
So as you said, I mean, keep it quick. I mean, I think we all relatively know who started the auctions back in the day. I'm not going to name names here, but there's certain auctions that go slower, certain auctions that go faster. I've observed auctions before I started doing these, and I was like, okay, I need to make my auctions quicker, sell more inventory, make more profit within a certain amount of time frame because I don't have 3 hours to kill to do an auction kind of deal. So I just decided, okay, we're going to make it quick. We're going to make it fast. Limited amount of inventory. I mean, if anyone's joined, I do about 3 trays plus some extras every evening. So we do that about once, twice a week. And then it just from there. So once you join the auction, at that point, at least for my auctions, it's simple as you join the page. I think you like the page, follow the page, whatever it may be on Facebook these days. And then so it's really free access at that point into the show. And then you'll see how the bidding works, usually by like the first couple items, where it's usually someone will put their initials in. So say if Jim Young's bidding, he would put, JY5. So he'd be bidding $5 an item. Most of my items in my auction, at least, we do it as a choice lot. So I'll put up like let's say four microtrains boxcars at a time. And then so you can bid on either multiple, you can bid on one. That's what we call a choice lot. So at that point you can say, nope, I just want the New York Central boxcar. I don't want the other 3 of them. Or you can say, nope, I want the New York Central, I want the Pennsylvania, and I want the Alaska boxcar kind of deal. So that's kind of how at least my variation of the auction works.
And he'll put in JY, Jim Will, if he's not going by, what is it, Hugo Suave. He goes by, if he doesn't, he goes by an alter ego sometimes.
And I'll go back to Ross just real quick. Ross, when they purchase something from you, you send them an invoice through Facebook, if I'm correct, if they're on Facebook when they purchased from you.
Correct. Yeah. So I usually send mine the same week, at least within the 7-day time frame. And then at that point, they can hold their items with me for up to a month before I require to ship them. So if they want to add on in future auctions, they have that capability to do so.
Okay. And Garrett, what makes a good auction in your mind? What do you do with your auction and you feel like it's unique?
I'd say the biggest difference between like mine and Ross's is I don't have as much frequent time to do them. So usually mine are more sporadic. Ross is pretty consistent where he has a couple a week. I have 1, 2, 3 a month, depending on my availability. This time of year, I also officiate basketball, so I'm not around a lot, so that keeps me busy. But then come, into March, into the rest of the year, they'll be more frequent. You might have 3 or 4. My auctions are only going to go longer. I think Ross's are usually about an hour. Mine are going to go anywhere from hour to 3 or 4 hours, just depending on how much stuff I have, how many people are participating, things like that. I mean, I think all the auctions here are going to say the best auctions are the ones where everything sells. I've had that happen once where everything I put on the block sold. Generally, there's going to be stuff left over, and I think we're all a little bit different on how we handle leftovers from the auction. But it's just, to me, it's the participation. I don't want to be up there talking to myself, not getting any bids. If that's the case, then either I'm overpriced or it's just not something that someone's interested in. And it kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's always interesting to me because I have something that, oh, that'll sell easy. That, I've seen those sell, all over the place. Bring it up, won't sell. Bring it up, won't sell. And I'll go, maybe 2 or 3 auctions, and then I'll pull it for a while. And then I'll bring it back, a month later, 2 months later, and there's a bidding war for it. So it's always interesting to me to see how things sell, what people are after, because, I'll look at things and go, oh, that'll sell, and then it doesn't. Or there's something I'm like, I can get $5 for that, and the next thing I know, it sells for 30. Okay, well, I was off on that. But I mean, to me, the participation is the biggest thing. And I don't necessarily mean that you have a bidding war. I mean, obviously, I want to sell it for as much as possible, but I mean, just the the participants, the people that are attending, having them engaging, I think is a good aspect. But keeping it within reason, so that you're not going down too many rabbit holes.
Bill, what do you think with your auction? What makes it unique? What do you do a little differently with your auctions?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the general participation process is the same as everyone else's in the bidding. And I do some things slightly different with the way I do bids, but basically the same way that all these guys do it. And I definitely will not win any records for being the fastest. I also don't think I'm the slowest, but Travis Rowe also described us as kind of the red green show. So my wife, Rachel, helps me a lot. And so something as Garrett said, talking to himself, he doesn't want to do that. I don't talk to myself. I just talk to Rachel or myself. So I have options, but I definitely do meander. And like Garrett said, a lot of it is I just try for community, and I've grown quite fond of a lot of my customers and stuff. And I've built some amazing friendships and relationships through this business and hobby. And I really enjoy the community and trying to participate in it. For a long time, I was only really just selling stuff. I do, like I said, have an HO layout me and my father are building, and I just recently, and I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but I started building a layout again myself at N scale. So it's a lot of just, that's kind of my bent, is the community. And I'm very consistent. I found that really has helped me, is that I'm pretty religiously every other Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is part of the reason I don't have, unfortunately, a lot of the Australians. I think it's like 6 a.m. or earlier over there. So unfortunately, it's a little early for them. So I definitely think Ross and Garrett get more of that clientele. But yeah, I've found that has really worked well for me, is just being consistent.
Okay, let me stick with you since we're on this topic. The next question we had was, what is the most expensive item that you've ever sold? And were you like, wow, or did you know you had something that was everybody was wanting, and you were like, okay, this is gonna go?
So it's really funny. I've been pondering this question since you asked it, and unfortunately I don't really have a very good answer. I've definitely sold some items for, like, I picked something up and I was like, wow, I didn't think that would go for as much. And then, some people, it was really funny. One of my main customers, he was actually out rail fanning with a friend somewhere, and it was a DCC engine. It was a nice engine, but it went for like 200 and something. And then after the fact, I talked to him about it, and he's like, I was out rail fanning and my buddy was egging me on. He was like, "You're not going to let him do that, are you?" And I was like, "Oh man, well, thanks." But it was kind of funny how that kind of transpired. But it was that I remember I sold a built refinery for $300, and that kind of blew me away. But it was a nice kit. I just didn't expect it to do that well. But
Yeah.
I wish I had one thing I could specifically say, but I really, unfortunately, I've sold so much stuff. Nothing particularly stands out.
How about you, Garrett? Is there anything that diamond that you didn't realize you had, or something you realized you had, and you're like, wow, this is going to go, and it did?
As far as there hadn't necessarily been anything that just absolutely surprised me as far as what it sold for.
Yeah.
I think recently something that sold for the most was another 2662 Challenger DC. It sold for a little over $200. I mean, I that didn't surprise me. I expected it to go somewhere around there, but the margins aren't always as big. It might sell for a lot, but your margin's not going to necessarily be as big. That's what surprises me, and when you pick something up and you think, "Oh, I'll get $10 for that," and the next thing you know, it sells for 50.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
well, that was a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. So, and I don't know about these other guys, but I mean, same way with like locomotives. For me, there's not always as big a margin on locomotives. You have a lot of guys in the auctions, that are participating. They're like, "Oh, locomotives, bring up the locomotives." You bring them up, and then sometimes they sell, sometimes they don't. But there's not near as much margin on them as there is on a lot of other things.
Okay. Ross, how about you? Any diamond in the rough, or something you're like, I can't believe I got this, and brought it to the auction and it did really well?
Yeah, so actually, it was kind of recently. I think it was the last month or two. I had a Fox Valley Models Milwaukee Road. I'm trying to remember the name of this, the steam set that everyone always wants.
Hiawatha.
The Hiawatha, thank you. And so I got it through, I don't even know where I got it from, somewhere, but it wound up selling for, I think it was 700 on the auction.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it was, I mean, my asking, I think, was 5 or 6 to start out with. I don't recall. It's been a couple months, like I said, but so that was definitely my biggest ticket item. I mean, as I said, I mean, locomotives honestly don't bring the highest profit. For me, it's the freight cars. Those are the ones that bring the profit in, because we can pick them up for cheap. We can pick them up for bulk, and that's where the money's at.
And there's always that one that someone's looking for, Lehigh Valley, that goes all the way out to the West Coast to pick it up. not to say that I've done that for legal purposes. Of course I don't do auctions.
Did the
my wife's
Lehigh,
ever watching.
did the Lehigh Valley ever run a trash train?
No, thank goodness.
That's a running joke we have here, guys. If you wonder what we're talking about, wherever Pat goes, Norfolk Southern always sends a trash train through shortly after he arrives.
Funny.
We were at the Crescent at the Station Inn, and I was there a day ahead of Pat, I think, and I think every heritage locomotive that Norfolk Southern has went through, it seemed like. And then when Pat got there, we saw the trash train.
Okay, I'll start this next question with Ross. Ross, do you have a model railroad layout, and what do you like to model?
So as I said before, so I did no longer have one at this point. I'm planning on one someday, some year, probably, right now I'm a busy guy working all the time kind of deal. So I don't have the time right now, but I'm looking forward to getting back into it at some point to answer that.
What are you thinking? Any certain era or modern day or East Coast, West Coast or something near you?
Yeah, my last one was 1980s, 90s SP is what I was doing. I'm probably going to do that again, with even a mix of modern in there too. So who knows? Time will tell.
Right? You always have time when you're in between layouts. You can have 15 different ideas before your friends kind of pressure you into saying, "Hey, let's get this going." Okay, how about Bill? What do you have a layout? What do you model?
Yeah, so I have 2 currently. I for a while had a N scale layout in a shed, but it wasn't insulated, and it was really kind of a drag in the winter up here when it would get to be -10 and made me not want to be outside very much, even with the salamander going. So I kind of tore that all apart. Plus, I needed space for kids' skis and stuff like that, and snowblower. So I had to tear that all down. I had a bench on 3 sides of it, but me and my father built a HO layout in his basement, which we are currently working on and off. Nothing scenic, but he wants to expand, so we're going to take up 3 sides of his basement. and I actually just last week when I got back from Springfield, I was inspired. I really enjoy switching, so I took a 6x4 table I have, and I'm building a N scale layout in it. It has a lid on it, and the track is obviously down on a piece of foam, and then I've been drilling holes through the bottom of it to run the wires. So it's not up and running yet, but it's a work in progress. And as far as like, I'm with Jim Young. I'm not too picky when it comes to stuff, except I don't like roof locks on my box cars. I don't mind them on my hopper cars, but like for whatever reason, I just don't like the look of them on box cars. So I have a more modern theme. But I just, part of the problem with this, and maybe this is a me thing, is that I buy collections and I'm like, ooh, I like this piece of rolling stock, or ooh, I like this engine. So I have kind of a pile of things that I've accumulated that just, I don't really have any set railroad. I like Union Pacific because I like the yellow. I also like BNSF. I like the main railroads because they're main. So long story short, I have too much of everything.
So Brad, what I just heard was Bill has a secret vault of inventory that he keeps as a reserve or private collection.
It does sound that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's inventory. Let's put it that way. And, I could sell it at any moment, but I haven't. So.
It's potential inventory. Right?
Exactly. It's not hoarding. It's inventory. So
there you go.
My deal with Rachel is as long as I sell more than I keep, she doesn't mind.
Right. Yeah. The ratio's got to be less, right? Okay, Garrett, how about you? What do you have for a layout or plans?
Well, I don't have a layout. When I was younger, I started one. went to high school, went to college, came back. Don't have space for a layout right now. Sometime once we've moved, have a bigger house, then that's one of the things that will be on the checklist for whatever house we get, is a place for that. But as far as what I model, I'm kind of like Bill over there. Sometimes I pick up a collection and I'm like, ooh, I like this, or I want that, or I don't have this. And it's the inventory that for some reason never ends up in the auction. I don't know how that works. For me, it's primarily Santa Fe and Burlington Northern Santa Fe. So kind of 90s into the merger and then through current. But I also have a fondness for Denver and Rio Grande Western. Again, when I was growing up, one of the guys that I knew that had a model train layout, it was HO scale, but it was DRGW. And so that kind of has a special place for me. And then obviously with where I'm located now, Kansas City Southern has a little bit of a fondness for me as well. So I'm kind of all over the place, but that's what I'm primarily hoarding, I guess I should say. And then, intermodal, TTX, Railbox, Railgun, all the stuff that a lot of people like as far as modern stuff goes. So.
Okay, excellent. So, guys, we really appreciate you being on tonight. We're going to give you guys one last turn around the Yardmaster here. What we're going to do is ask each of you to tell us once again what your auction is, when you have your auction, and how they can find you. So I'll go with Garrett first. Just tell us who you are one last time, where they can reach you, and when you do your auctions.
Garrett Metcalf, Midwest Train Auctions. Google it. If you don't find it, talk to one of these guys. They can point you in the right direction, send you a link, that kind of thing. I enjoy doing this. As far as when I do it, it's just like I said before, when I have availability. I'd like to get on a more regular schedule, but right now the other things in my life just aren't allowing that. But I appreciate everybody that's been a part of the auction and everybody that is in the future.
Okay. Ross, can you tell us a little bit about yours one last time and when we can see your auction?
Yeah, Ross Palabeski with NorCal Trains Auctions. Usually twice a week. It just depends on my work schedule also. So the days kind of vary usually, and the times are now varying too. So I can't even say what time it's going to be. So some point, some day, some week. That's my answer.
But normally twice a week, and if they get on your link, they'll see your auction schedule. Excellent.
Correct. Yeah, usually I have it posted at least a couple of days in advance.
And I forgot to say, all these guys always post pictures on their site also to show you, hey, this is what we have coming up. And then if anybody has any questions or if they're looking for something, they can always ask these guys too. So, Bill, how about you? Tell us one last time your auction house and the times that you normally do things.
Yeah, my name is Bill Jenkins. I run East/West Model Train Auctions. You can find my group on Facebook. I do have aspirations of having a website. I do a lot of 3D printed items, so I'm going to be putting things up there. I've been saying this also for about 3 years now, so don't hold your breath. But I have my auctions pretty regularly every other Sunday, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. If I don't have one on a Sunday, it's because of life or a train show I'm attending, but we usually make them up. So pretty consistent with that. And I also just want to give a huge shout out to Garrett and Ross as well. Ross started this before I started, and I really appreciate you letting me advertise on your group. I don't do that as much anymore, but you really were a huge help getting started with all this. And same for you, Garrett. I know, we've shared information and sharing each other's groups. And I really appreciate that from both of you, how willing and helpful both of you have been. So and I love the community and everyone that has participated. It's always something different. It's always something fun. So I really appreciate everyone.
Oh, same for you, Bill. I appreciate that. And unfortunately, I haven't got as much stuff from you. I think a lot of it's just kind of the local stuff you've picked up doesn't necessarily fit what I'm after. But I've bought a lot from Ross, and I've bought some stuff from you as well. So I appreciate that you're doing what you're doing as well.
Oh yeah, well, and definitely, I like to say that I enjoy talking with people, and mine do ramble and wander. And I'm sorry I haven't been patrons of your guys' auctions as much, but I've really been trying to cut back on my reserve inventory from other sources.
Well, guys, I really appreciate it. It's a great community. I've unofficially purchased from all three of you. I don't want to say anything to incriminate me with my wife. Uh, but we really appreciate you guys coming on this evening. I wanted to make sure Brad had the final thoughts with the Yardmasters here.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. I would just echo kind of what Will was saying. That's one of the things I always appreciated about these three guys. They don't really view each other as rivals or competitors, even though they're all selling in this, in a similar space, but they've always cooperated with one another and tried to help each other out. And that kind of goes right along with our philosophy here, Pat. We don't view other podcasts as rivals or enemies or anything like that. And I just think that's better for the hobby overall if we can conduct ourselves that way. And I've always appreciated about you guys. And I will echo what Pat said. Thank you so much for being on here with us. And if you want to send us links, we can publish links and stuff to your online auctions too when we publish this podcast. But other than that, we'll just say thank you very much. And Pat, we'll go back to you to take us out of here.
Okay, Iron City. We'll be right back with our final thoughts right after this. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Brad, great show this evening with our Yardmasters. I learned a lot about auctions. Enjoy them. I thought this was a really good topic for me personally. Didn't know much about them. Followed them for a couple years now. Of course, purchased. Don't want to say anything that will incriminate me. And
Too late.
Too late. Can't edit that out. I really enjoy these guys. Great customer service. I really appreciate their business, and I think they bring a great service to the hobby world. So, Brad, want to go over just a couple of things before we close? Hey, you can catch us at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Note, Podchaser, and Boomplay. Of course, we're on the Iron City InScale page. We're also on our YouTube, which is doing gangbusters. And Brad and I made an announcement last week that all Iron City clinics and all Iron City showcases will now be featured on our YouTube page. So if you miss out, you can't catch the shows that we have on Facebook, they're good for 30 days. Once they come off of there of 30 days, don't worry. They're on the Iron City Roundhouse Report page and YouTube. So we're there for all that. We also take all your DMs or your direct messages on our Facebook page. And if you just want to just put a post up, you're welcome to do so. Don't be afraid to just post your own stuff, your videos, what you're working on, questions, whatever you want. Once you become a member of the Iron City, that page is for you. Please feel free to post. Brad, I'll pass it over to you for your final thoughts for this evening.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. And I just wanted to echo what you said about the Yardmasters we had on here. They're just three good guys doing something because they enjoy it, and of course, doing it to make a couple extra bucks. We would, hope that they're able to do that so that it stays worth it to them to keep going. I think at this point it is, and they seem to be doing very well. They work well together. They cooperate with one another, promote each other's auctions. So we just want to say a very special thanks to Bill Jenkins from East West Auctions, to Garrett Metcalf from Midwest Model Train Auctions, and to Ross Palabeski from NorCal Train Auctions. Three of the good guys, N-Scale Auctioneers on Facebook. You can look each of those up on Facebook if you would like to tune in to see how the auction works. It's a really simple way to buy, and if you're looking for someone trustworthy to buy from, I can vouch for these guys. I've had many dealings with all three of them. They've always treated me extremely well, and, no hassles from them, and just wish them the best as they move forward with their auction, and want to thank them both for coming on here and talking to us and for that service that they provide to the N-Scale community. And while we're thanking people, Pat, I just want to thank once again everybody who takes time out of their schedule to tune in and listen to us. We appreciate that so much. The podcast is still growing. We've kind of been taken aback a little bit by the response we've got to season 2. That we've had our listening numbers, I guess, listener numbers are going up, and we appreciate that so much. And if you could spread the word about us, we would like to see it continue to grow so we can reach more people and bring more people together, because that's really, that's the big reason why we do this, is to get the Iron City message out to as many people we can and make more friends in the hobby. Because like you mentioned, when you're a member of Iron City, the group is there for the members of the members and by the members. So we appreciate everybody who joins us here and who joins us on the Facebook page, and just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you. And having said that, we're going to wrap things up here tonight. So thank you once again for joining us for Season 2, Episode 4 of the Iron City Roundhouse Report.
All right, rail fans, that's all the steam we've got for this edition of the Iron City Roundhouse Report. Until next time, keep those gauges green, your couplers connected, and may your layouts always run smoothly. Happy railroading.